Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 8:15 a.m. news and views on Salam Media. I actually think my clock is 2 minutes behind. So don't be worried if you think I'm giving you the wrong time. So if my clock is 2 minutes behind, it is only 8:13 a.m. Do forgive me for that. We'll try and fix it in a minute or two. Okay, the big story of the day. We are going to be talking with political analyst Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast. He's no stranger on this show. We do speak with him on a regular basis, and always a pleasure because I do love his analyses on issues, political issues, locally and globally. But of course, we are going to be looking at the State of the Province address reaction. Do we believe that our Premier is going to deliver? Do we believe that he's going to try and put a stop to corrupt practices? Issues about tenderpreneurs, did that come up in the in his State of Nation address, or is that really a national issue to be discussed at a higher tier of government? So let's start looking at the supposed important issues that he spoke about, and are we hopeful? Are we hopeful at all that he's going to be delivering and that he's going to pull the province out of the grim and grime that it seems to be locked into? Dr. Breakfast, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Always a pleasure indeed. So, the State of the Province address, your reaction, was it what you were expecting? Is there something new? Is there something different? Is there something refreshing? Are you hopeful at all?
No, of course not. I think it's always all talk and no action. I like what he said in the beginning of his speech, that if it was for him, he would not have made that speech. He would have just taken the electorate to certain places and showcase the work that is underway of the government of the day. So I don't think that he managed to capture the imagination of citizens of Gauteng, or he managed to uplift the spirits of people who have broken hearts, maybe who are on the margins of the economy, who are unemployed, who are bearing the brunt of the structure of the economy. But there was a great deal of emphasis on crime, which is posing a threat not only to that particular province, but to national security, posing a threat to our democracy. And I think sometimes we tend to underplay, the connection between security and development, because who wants to invest in a place that has insecurity? So, the issue of crime is not just a threat perception. It's a phenomenon that is real. If you look at the political killings that have happened of late, and rape, gender-based violence, and so on. So something needs to be done. I know that he spoke about other mitigating factors that his province is going to introduce, but I think there must be a collaboration between his province and the national government in terms of getting the job done. And of course, as you know, the issue of electricity crisis is still a fundamental problem. Also spoke about that, how municipalities are planning to procure electricity as opposed to depending on ESCOM. I like what he said lastly, and most importantly, about the state of affairs at local government level. Even though at some point I felt he was playing politics, because I don't know, of all municipalities, he singled out one. I know that there was a report of the AG there, that was painting a gloomy picture. But it's interesting that he chose that one of all municipalities. But of course, there are problems at local government level.
Okay, so he's touched on a whole host of issues: GBV, the energy crisis, talking about fighting drugs and substance abuse. And we all know that the mitigating factors here is the issue around youth unemployment. And the reason we have the issue regarding youth employment, the fingers are pointed right back to government once again because of all the corruption, cadre deployment, state capture, and the list goes on. Um, has there been any mention about development? Because as you've rightly pointed out, we're not going to get investors, you're not going to get new businesses starting up because of the issue around crime. So all of these issues that he talked about yesterday, everything we know about, we're aware of it, they're all interconnected. And it's not going to come right if we don't get the first and the most important thing right, and that is to wipe out corruption and to create employment.
No, no, of course. Corruption is not just a buzzword, but it's a phenomenon that embeds itself, within the state machinery, even of that province. If you remember when COVID-19 started, people used political capital and social capital to do business with the state there. And some of those cases are still investigated. To know that the MEC of health was fired because of that report of the SIU. I don't think government has done enough in terms of addressing the issue. I think he was a bit nervous though when he was making the speech. I think there is an appreciation within the context of the ANC that the upcoming general elections might produce results which are going to harm the ANC. Because they know they have not done the way they should have in terms of promoting development or in terms of improving the lives of the people. And I think Gauteng, because there is a lot of middle class there, so people don't vote in relation to party allegiance, but they vote in relation to public policy issues or in relation to the performance of the government of the day. So I think the ANC might lose power there because it's not like a rural province like the Eastern Cape, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, where there are majority of ANC members.
Okay, I want to come back to the upcoming elections 2024. Let's just park that for a minute. Let's look at the issue around roads and transport. We do know that our roads are in a absolutely shocking mess. Do you think that they will be able to deliver on the issue around the roads? And I know the joke that went around when our new mayor was sworn in. He was caught on one of the other news channels saying that the first thing he's going to tackle is the potholes. So look, it's a very serious issue, but he did become the butt of the joke simply because people felt that he should have started talking about the energy crisis first. But we do know roads are also very, very important indeed. Do you think they're going to get that right? And in terms of budgets and in terms of the tenders that will go out as far as the whole pothole brigades situation is concerned?
Well, guess is as good as mine. Suffice to say, he spoke about public-private partnership, which is a neoliberal model or a business model. I think there is a connection, in my opinion, between transport economy and basically development. Because if you want to grow the economy, you need to be able to move goods from point A to point B. But if you have roads which are falling apart, or if you have potholes, then it becomes a problem. So that harms the economic performance of the country or of a particular locality. So the issue of potholes is really a fundamental problem, and I think it is worse now because that is not in the competency of local government. Now you have a situation where there's no minister in that particular department because now Mbalula has gone to HQ to perform his duties there. So I don't know who is providing a strategic and a political direction to that department in terms of helping municipalities from national to local sphere of the government.
Okay, so we are talking transport. Let's stick with that for a minute or two. There was talk a short while ago about reviving the railway network within South Africa, because if that does happen, obviously they're going to have to replace all of the stolen railway tracks all around the country, and that in itself is going to be a huge undertaking. But if we can get that right, not only as a province, but as a country, we'd be able to take all the load off the national and local roads and get all our heavy duty transportation on the rails, the railway lines, and it will be, our roads will be safer, and we won't have the pothole situation because we won't have all those huge trucks on the road 24/7.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head, but just to expand on what you said, I think the part is still with us in terms of Transnet, because it was one of the institutions that were identified by perpetrators of state capture. So, I mean, the institution is in a mess. Financially, it is not performing the way it used to perform. So I'm not sure if they will be able to get the job done. You know, I mean, there have been many items that have been stolen, whether by employees or by citizens, in terms of their infrastructure.
Okay, can I ask you to indulge us for a couple of minutes more, if you don't mind, please? We need to take an ad break, and I do have
No
one or
problem, sure.
two very important questions that I need to put to you, so please do stand by.
Okay.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Deadly earthquakes struck Turkey and Syria, leaving communities devastated and in dire need of assistance. Over 8,000 buildings and homes were reduced to rubble. Over 9,000 people have been confirmed dead, with hundreds of thousands seriously injured. Families and communities are in disarray as search and rescue operations continue day and night. Islamic relief teams are on the ground providing vital emergency relief to the affected communities. Your support enables us to provide food, medical care, and emergency shelter. Donate now and help us save lives. Visit www.islamic-relief.org.za.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of blackseed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using Tib Blackseed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib Blackseed. You can find Tib Blackseed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
Conveniently located along the banks of the Crocodile River bordering the Kruger National Park, as a guest at Buckler's Africa Lodge, one can enjoy an amazing sunrise or sunset on our spacious deck area while you catch a glimpse of some wildlife sightings along the Crocodile River. The sounds of the African savannah will greet you whilst you enjoy your morning coffee. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Buckler's Africa Lodge is ideally situated only 6 kilometers from the Crocodile Bridge Gate in the Kruger National Park. Catering for all travelers with variety, we have 4 types of the finest rooms: superior rooms, deluxe suites, and 2-bedroomed family units. Each room is equipped with the finest amenities to make your stay unforgettable. Guests can choose between the self-catering option or book their accommodation with breakfast and dinner included. Buckler's Africa Lodge is your ideal location for the ultimate Kruger getaway experience. We specialize in exhilarating and educational game drives in Kruger, tailor-made to suit your family. Inquire about our various accommodation offerings and other activities. Visit www.tingana.co.za for more information. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Experience the pulse of Africa with us.
Ah, the kitchen, the heart of the home, where memories are made and celebrated. our go-to place for those freshly stacked pancakes early in the morning or for the late-night snack munchies. We are in there together, cooking, eating and celebrating life together. Let's keep the kitchen a place that is shared by everyone, where we build stronger bonds and grow together. Sunfoil, now we cooking. Visit nowwecooking.co.za for recipes that everyone can help make.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. I am talking with Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast. He's a political analyst. We're unpacking the State of the Province address, which, as we all know, happened last night. So, Dr. Breakfast, two things that jump out at me very glaringly is under social development. Mr. Lefu, our Premier said that to mitigate urban hunger, they've set aside 64.460 million rands for food parcels, especially for people in poverty-stricken communities. Now, that's very admirable, but I'm kind of wondering, is that not a ploy by the ANC to the build-up of the coming elections? Because if they're going to be handing out food parcels, they are going to be securing those votes, and that worries me.
Yes, that is a long-standing argument, so to speak, that the ANC has been using social security to garner votes for itself. I understand that, but at the same time, I mean, if you look at the disparities between the haves and the have-nots, you have to do something in terms of mitigating against poverty. Because, I mean, our democracy can never flourish if we have this gap between the working class and the ruling class. So I'm not saying that people must depend too much on the state, but we cannot turn a blind eye to the plight of the poor. So I think there are two things on that score. I mean, you have to address the issue of poverty at a tactical level by, rolling out those social reform programs. But on the other hand, at a strategic level, also we need to equip people with skills so that
Absolutely.
they can participate in the labor market.
Excuse my my cynicism. That's exactly how I feel. Stamp out corruption, which he didn't talk about at all, and create jobs. So if you create jobs, you don't have to spend that kind of money. That money can be better utilized to possibly up our health system, or maybe that money could be used to create sustainable jobs, etc. But be that as it may, you and I are not in the political space. We're here to critique our politicians. Another thing that's a very, very sore point with me, which I'm sure you will agree with, he addressed the Madam Speaker and the honourable members, and he asked everyone to join him in congratulating the 2022 matric class for doing sterling work and achieving an 84.4% pass rate. And then a couple of weeks after the matric results were published, we hear the horror story of grade 4s being unable to read, unable to comprehend the work that they're being given. It's almost a situation of grade 4 learners in our country are at a stage of illiteracy. And here you're congratulating the matrics of 2022. There's a disparity there.
Yes, of course. I mean, I think there are a lot of problems in our educational system. We've got two systems. We've got education for the haves, and then we have education for the have-nots. And those who are the have-nots are bearing the brunt of poor state of education. As you pointed out, most learners cannot read, cannot write, cannot do mathematics. I mean, it's something that government is falling short of addressing. And also the cheating that has happened of late, which leaves much to be desired.
Absolutely. Okay, let's wrap up. I've just got a minute left. I know that the Premier himself was a hostel dweller back in the day as he was growing up. He lived in a hostel with his uncle in Tembisa. He has spoken about the poor state of the hostels and homelessness and informal settlements, and he has promised to try and upgrade those facilities. Are you hopeful that that will in fact be done?
I think the damage is done, and what is done cannot be undone, unfortunately. That's why I made the prediction earlier on that I think that the ANC is going to lose power in Gauteng. I can bet my bottom dollar, trust me. They've lost almost all the major municipalities, and now what is left is the province, and they are going to lose power there because of the expanded nature of the middle class. Even the black people that stay there, they are unhappy about the state of affairs because the problem is not only the issue of our outage, but also is the shortage of water. There are many problems: crime, gender-based violence, as you indicated. So the government of the ANC, I think, has let down a lot of people in Gauteng and also in other parts of the country.
I'm going to wrap up with this final comment on my part, and if you can give me your thoughts on it as well. We're hearing talks leading up to the elections 2024. We're hearing talks about, obviously, EFF wanting to, form coalitions with the ANC because it seems that the writing is on the wall. The ANC are aware that they're going to lose votes, and they're going to lose votes in large numbers. Is that something to be worried about, the EFF joining up or forming a coalition with the ANC? Is that going to give them the numbers that they need? And does that then perhaps mean that the ANC will still retain power? God help us.
The ideological proximity of the ANC is closer to the EFF as opposed to the DA. But the problem is that the alliance between the ANC and the EFF is an unholy one. Because, I don't think that you can, I say this out of respect, you can trust a person like Julius Malema. Because today he says this, tomorrow he says something else. That relationship in that province between the ANC and the EFF is not supported by the mother body. Some people are worrisome about that relationship. It's a relationship that has been necessitated by the friendship of Julius Malema and Mzwandile Masina and TK and other people. It's not a relationship that is embraced by the mother body. So even though they have this relationship, the EFF says that they don't want the ANC to be in power. That's why even in the city of Johannesburg, look who is the mayor. Even if the DA is removed from the helm of power in Swanen, I bet my bottom dollar the mayor that will ascend to the throne will not be an ANC member.
Okay, we seem to have lost Dr. Breakfast there, but in any event, we were going to be wrapping up on that interview. I do hope that, you had some deep insights from that interview. Always a pleasure talking with Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast, a political analyst, and undoubtedly we will be talking again with him sometime in the future. The time is exactly 8:35. Do stand by. Our next interview will be with Tsepo Khadima. He is an independent economic, energy, and political analyst.